some folks are waiting to speak. But before we do that component, we are going to do a brief administrative report. Before we do that, I want to let you know that last week I had the opportunity to travel to Albany and visit the Capitol building, where I met with the Lieutenant Governor, the Deputy Secretary of Policy and Management, Director of Policy for the Lieutenant Governor, Senator from the 5th Senatorial District, Carl Marcelino, and the Deputy Secretary for Education on an advocacy trip. There were about 10 superintendents from Long Island, and we traveled there to speak to the Lieutenant Governor and his staff about any number of issues ranging from pension costs, the Affordable Care Act, use of reserves, increases in aid, standards for students. My focus was predominantly on the Common Core, high-stakes testing, the proliferation of high-stakes testing, the timing of those assessments, and the effect that they're having on schools, in particular schools where we have a solid program already in place. There was a lot of conversation about formal assessments versus summative assessments. All in all, the advocacy jaunt was what we consider to be highly successful. The Lieutenant Governor and his staff promised to visit Long Island this summer to continue to engage in the conversation. We made a very strong case for considering exit outcomes as opposed to ongoing assessments to the degree that they're offered now, which means pretty much for months on end with our students at almost every grade level. They agreed to come back and engage in the conversation about alternatives. The Lieutenant Governor said we need to adjust, we need to reflect, and we need to make changes. I don't know that I could ask for much more from the second highest ranking public official in New York State, so I just wanted to brief the board on that visit, let you know that that conversation is going to continue. When it does, I will again brief the Board of Education. At this time, we have a brief presentation, administrative report on enrollment and demographics, effects on the district and district personnel. Dr. DeCour and others from the district office administrative team that have conducted. I promise it's not slide after slide after slide. I think there are fewer than 5 slides. Dr. DeCour.
Good evening. This presentation is going to be available on the website tomorrow morning. But what I wanted to mention was that when we take a look at the reductions in the faculty, one of the things that we've been saying throughout the budget season is that all students will experience largely the same program in 2013 and 14 as they did, which means that they would have similar class size, they would have similar courses in art, music, physical education. And although the programs have largely remained intact, staff was laid off based upon seniority. And reductions in staff are the result of a decrease in the total student enrollment in the Commack Union Free School District. So if you take a look up on the screen, what you will see is that in 2009-10, our school-wide enrollment was 7,647 students. And then you can see progressively over the years it's declined. So if you take a look at the difference between 09-10 and what we're projected right now, and these are real numbers, these are the numbers of students that are currently in our database system that will be coming to us in kindergarten. We go from 7,647 down to 6,961, which is a total decrease of 686 students over the last 5 years. So if that's what was, this next slide shows you what will be. What we did was we worked with BOCEs and we hired them to come in and do an analysis, a longitudinal analysis that would give us projections for enrollment. This report was actually published in January of 2013. And again, what you will see is that when you take a look at the data, the top row over here will show you what our current enrollment is right now. And our current enrollment right now is 7210. And then again, 2013, this is the projection for next year, we'll be at 6961. And then according to the BOCES report, by 2017-18, by grades, these are the reductions in enrollment, resulting in a number of 6150. So if you take a look at where we are now from 2012 down to 2017-18, it's a reduction of 1,060 students. So we look at that, and that's really a daunting number. One of the things that we take a look at is what is projected for the current kindergartners. And if you take a look at the first column, what you will see is that the projection is that we're basically stable at between, high 300s and 400 for the next several years. And that's that column right over here. And then, of course, that will follow throughout the system, throughout the buildings. So if you're looking at this at a later date, you really want to take a look at the top row here, which is our current enrollment, and then the bottom row here, which is where we'll be in 5 years. Now, the effects of enrollment are complex when we're talking about how does that affect staffing in a district this size. So throughout the budget, we said the number of positions that was reduced was 17.64. So broken down, this is where the reductions had come from. On our overall staff, there were 6 retirements within the CTA unit. There were 3 positions that were excess positions. There were some teachers that were here on a part-time basis or on an annual basis, and they wouldn't be coming back, and that accounted for 5.94 positions. And then there are some teachers that are currently full-time teachers that will be coming back next year as part-time teachers, and those total reductions amount to 2.7. So the total reduction in the staff is 17.64. Now, what is the difficult concept is that when you're looking at a district this size, and we have a number of certifications that are K through 12 certifications, what occurs is even if a teacher is being accessed in the high school, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's where there's a reduction in enrollment. So if you take a look at the example that I have here, for example, if a high school physical education teacher was the last person hired in the physical education department, that person would be the first person accessed. Even though the numbers of enrollment in the high school is not decreasing, it's decreasing in the primary buildings. So when we take a look at the overall effect that the enrollment has had, we have to take a look at it district-wide. So it's not a simple situation with regards to where teachers are being accessed from with regards to their buildings. This last slide I'm just going to leave up there. It talks about the total reductions district-wide that we had to make. The top are the CTA reductions. In the middle, there were 5 reductions in buildings and grounds. And then the last chart shows the reductions in clerical, which were 4 positions.
So as you can see, there are effects associated with declining enrollment that reach throughout the district. And it is something that we want people to be aware of, because part of what we are doing tonight is the very unfortunate task of having to affect some of those reductions. And we know that affects people. It affects people emotionally, because we are very connected to the individuals who work in the school district. We know it affects people's lives and their livelihoods. And it is something that we do not take lightly. So we want that information available for you so that you are informed as we move forward with these reductions. At this point, I would take any questions from the Board of Education. Otherwise, we will move forward.
If I can make a comment. Western Suffolk BOCES did this study for all 18 of the component districts making up Western Suffolk BOCES. And with the exception of 3 of the South Shore districts, that swing in demographics is exactly the same. And we also saw a comparison of Nassau BOCES. And in Nassau, the majority of the districts are also seeing the exact same decline in enrollment.
Okay, Mrs. Mazzio.
Thank you. I think we'll move forward now. At this point in time, if anyone wishes to come to the microphone to address those issues on the agenda, please do so. As you will also have time to address anything you like later on in the meeting as we finish.
Hi, I have a comment to that. There are going to be less students, but there's still the same number of taxpayers. Is that correct? So you're still going to have the same amount of tax money, yet you're cutting teachers. Is that right? We passed the budget or else, right? I mean, can you comment back? I mean, I said you passed the budget as well, right? I mean, we were assured. I mean, I'm just a parent with 2 small children. I brought my daughter to learn to fight what you believe in. One of her teachers, I found out today, is going to be cut, and it was very disheartening. She is their music teacher, and her name is Miss Bodie. In fact, she was here today, and she inspired these children. And it's very sad when we pass the budget. Okay, we're going to have a decline in students, so what? We still have the same amount of money, right? Sell, marry, and curl, but that's another thing. But I don't understand. So can you say something to me?
I think one of the things that occurs, and although when you say we still have the same amount of money, in some regard that's correct, but if we were to have more students, we would have more sections of music and art and phys ed and general education classrooms, and then we would have students in those classrooms. When we maintain our class sizes and maintain our programs, in essence, the classes that we are running next year are full. We don't necessarily have students to put into these other classes. So, although the tax level, the amount of taxes that we increase, if we tried to keep those teachers, may have been higher. So we were able to, in essence, lower it because we have fewer children.
Right.
We have fewer children, so we don't actually have sections for those teachers, in some cases, to teach. And we understand, we absolutely understand. I wouldn't speak for me.
Right. No, I understand. No, I mean, I understand that some teachers are coming back, had tenure and so forth, but, I just want to say, I don't know her other than I just met her this year, and she was very inspiring to my children. She's passionate, and she introduced string instruments to my daughter and my son, and they loved it so much, and it's just such a shame for them to lose her. And I really don't want to see that. And if there's something that can be done, I implore you guys to try to figure out the way to budget our money or figure it out. I mean, it's not my job, that's your job. It's just my job to tell you she's a great, great educator. And that's why we're here.
Mrs. Bodie will be here part-time next year, continuing to teach the orchestra. If the population increases, then we would be able to increase her position. So that's the unfortunate position that we're in.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
My daughter would like to say something. She's a 4th grader at Sawmill.
Hi, I'm Ashley Graff, and I just wanted to say that Miss Bodie is a wonderful teacher, and it just breaks my heart to hear that she's not going to be here anymore.
She will be there still, sweetie. She's just going to be there part-time, but you'll still be in Sawmill with you. So you'll still be able to see her.
But why is it that she's going to be here in part-time?
Because we have fewer children, and so there aren't as many children for her to teach.
So if the population increases, then what?
This is one of our math students in the future, very good. That's exactly what we need. As well as if we have retirements, as well as if other things change. And actually, I, by the way, teach side by side with your music teacher over in Christ the King. She's a wonderful teacher over there, too, for students after school. She's a very beautiful person, and we certainly don't want to lose her at the end of all this, but we're looking to see how things slowly move. There might be other things to change that can accommodate us being able to have her all day long, just for the kids in your school building or reverse. But truly, she knows how much we value her. We know how much we value her, as well as some others that were caught up in this kind of shift of population. But we do know that she's a great teacher.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We thank you.
Actually, her protocol and practices where I'm sorry for the students to speak first. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Maglione, and I'm here on behalf of the arts. You may remember me from last year because exactly 1 year ago, I stood in this same spot and fought for the same cause, the art department. This family of teachers and students has been my home for the past 4 years, and I would do anything to prevent it from falling apart. Budget cuts are evidence of these trying times, which is understandable. However, the deep cuts made to the art department are unjustifiable. The arts are overlooked due to their elective, non-academic standing, and this should not be. In order for a student to be well-rounded intellectual, he or she must think critically, analytically, and creatively. This is exemplified in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. Creativity is one of the 3 valued assets in the necessary community service portion of the program. And without it, the student cannot grow or acquire the necessary knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values needed to prosper and become successful. Art allows for the student to explore his or her pathways, and it opens one's mind to new ideas and skills. This critical, out-of-the-box way of thinking is what's truly valued in the competitive workforce. It cannot be taught from a textbook, and it needs to be experienced and developed through doing and not studying. There are 53 Intel Science Talent Research semi-finalists from Nassau and Suffolk County combined, and 26 of them are involved in the arts in their own schools. An article in Newsday states that the research shows that students involved in the arts score higher in standardized testing and show greater achievement in science and math. Our own valedictorian and salutatorian received the art departmental awards for music and art. These arts are such an integral part of higher learning and involve so much more than lines on paper and the strokes of a brush. Dr. James, your office is beautiful thanks to the students. It's gorgeous. And I've had the honor of painting a part of 2 different murals within the past 2 years. So I know firsthand the talent that's within those walls. And the crippling of the art department will result in fewer students involved, which will end in the depletion of ability, opportunity, and the arts altogether. Deep cuts to the art department, especially the removal of art teachers, stunt the creative freedom, and expression of the students, and inhibit the growing and learning experience. The 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. is the most critical time of the day. This is the time for instruction and learning, the first and foremost purpose of school. So why are those who instruct being excessed when extracurricular activities, as important as they may be, are not seen as harsh cuts? The teachers are the heart of the school. They do not only instruct, but they inspire. They serve as role models and friends, and they are always willing to listen and provide as much help as possible. Personally, I don't know what I would have done without my art teachers, and I can't imagine my brother, who will be a freshman next year, not having the same opportunity. They mean so much to me, and even though I'm graduating in 10 days, I cannot imagine what the school will be like without them there. The art department really is a family, and they deserve to stick together. So I'm fighting for the benefit of those students who are coming to this school, who may be lost and scared in their first few days, because those are the students that deserve the time with the art department and all that it offers. So please do what you can, because they really need so much. Thank you.
the board's and superintendent's commitment that every student who signs up for art next year will have art. So although there may be some changes in staffing, the program itself, if there are students enrolled in those art programs, we will staff those art programs.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Savvy, and I'm the president of the art club at school. I have been for the last 3 years, and although that's true that every student who wants to take an art class will be able to, the truth of the matter is that each of our arts teachers have a specific background that they're practicing and that they are very well aware of, And so whenever we lose one of our faculty members, we're not losing only someone that we have grown to love over the years, but a certain level of understanding of art that we cannot get from any other teacher. Let's say that Mr. Rosano specializes in ceramics. No one else can teach ceramics. No one will be able to take a ceramics class and have the same degree of understanding of ceramics as you would if you took one of Mrs. Rosano's classes, because she's the only teacher who has the background and the skill and the years of experience that she does. I mean, it'd be ridiculous to have a math teacher teach English, wouldn't it? I mean, that's pretty stupid sounding. I mean, it's I don't mean to make fun of anyone here, but it takes certain people who are specified in an area in order to teach that area. And for that reason, I think it's important to keep all of our teachers here, not only because they're an integral part of our Commack community, but because they foster an understanding of art and those specifics of art, in the specifics of photography and ceramics and the fine arts like oil painting and so on. If we don't those specific subjects not be taught interchangeably. I mean, another thing is that the arts don't only teach creativity, but they teach you how to use your creativity to the best of your ability. They teach flexibility. They teach you the ability to cooperate in a group. Because without that, you can't be successful in the future. It teaches not only better art students, but better business students, better engineers. We need to be able to handle criticism and be able to think outside of the box. And for that reason, art's important. Let's say you take an art class and you decide, I don't want to major in art. But that doesn't mean that the art does not affect you. Art teaches you how to learn new skills and then use them to the best of your ability, rather than just taking art for the sake of aesthetics. Because art is not about aesthetics. Art is about understanding history and understanding the world around you in order to better yourself. And only yourself, but when you do that, you better the community. And by removing a lot of our art teachers, that's kind of ruining all of the basis of I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
You've said it all very well, and you are truly well spoken, and this board, as well as I believe, without exception, everyone in the audience, values art as you do. And we continue to search for ways to accommodate not just those areas or expertise in art, but also those people with whom you become close. And as we had in the past, where Mr. Cooley, I see there, was someone whom we thought we might not see this year. Again, we steadfastly try to bring people and keep them nearby so that we can make it through these times and still have them to help you create and appreciate the arts as you do. We are on your side as far as thinking and as far as believing in what you're doing. We are just, unfortunately, the gatekeeper of trying to pay for it all and accommodate the allowance of population at the same time. But again, another person who is truly appreciated, not just because he's an outstanding teacher of a certain area, he's a great, great affecter of kids. You know that. Thank you, though. Thank you for speaking. You did a great job.
Good evening. My name is Mariana Palumbo, and I'm completing my junior year here at Commack High School. I'm here representing the National Art Honor Society as this year's secretary, and I've been a member for 2 years, both of which Mr. Downwell has been our wonderful advisor. We would like to ask you to reconsider your decision to terminate 2 art positions, because art is an important part of our school district, and by eliminating these 2 positions, us students will be at a loss. Personally, art has become a large part of my life, and I know how much of an impact these teachers have had on so many students' lives. Ms. Adamo has given so much to her students, and our school district is certainly losing a great asset. As secretary, Ms. Adamo's classroom has become like my home away from home when I am in school. I can honestly say that she has been an integral part of helping me develop as a student. She's created a home for all of her students, as well as for all of her National Art Honor Society and Fashion Club members. Not only is she a wonderful advisor, she has also been a mentor and someone that many people have gone to whenever they need help. So many students seek that special relationship with a teacher, one that they know that they will always have someone to turn to, and Ms. Adamo has been this teacher for so many people. She's helped me, not only with art, but she has helped me grow as a person by giving me confidence to feel that I can do anything. We look up to her, and we cannot imagine not having her here in our lives next year. This is a loss to our school because the art department is already small enough. With the loss of any teachers, our opportunities as students are decreased. I know that many of my peers have tried to get into art classes and have been denied, and in many cases it is due to the classes already being completely full. Art is an escape for many of us students, offering an outlet for our creativity since we are cooped up for so long in other strenuous classes. Art is imperative to this district, and many of us fear that with this elimination of these teachers, art is seriously on the decline. After this, what is going to be next? We need to be making our art department even stronger, not tear it down. We understand that these are tough economic times, but there have to be other options to save money. We ask you to please reconsider this detrimental decision and do whatever you can to rectify this. Finally, I leave you with this. These teachers have done so much for this district and us students, and they deserve better than to have their jobs pulled from them like this. Thank you.
I graduated back in 2011, and I've been part of the art department since the 8th grade. My 8th grade teacher selected me for the Studio Art A option back in the middle school where I had Mrs. Yellow. I moved on to take Miss Adamo's fashion class in my 9th grade and went on to be an International Baccalaureate recipient and took IB art as my 3rd HL. I'm now at Skidmore College studying art and history, and as a studio art major there, so much of the skills I've developed came from this high school, but even more so than that, a lot of the confidence I have, and as a history major as well, incorporating my art skills into my history classes. In my medieval class past semester, we built a Viking ship for our project. It's just the school really also encourages the combination of all these subjects, just like they did at the high school, and a lot of my college success has come from these teachers. For my senior project, I worked under Mr. Musto painting in his room, and being able to come back to the high school and see that painting still there, you really get to see the mark you left on your high school. You don't just see the high school, you see what you contributed to it. And seeing the murals of all my friends in my classes who also took art, it's just such a beautiful thing to come home to. It's like the high school really was my home, and I found a lot of myself here, and I have the confidence I have and the success I have at my college because of it. And I also worked in studio art as a stage crew and craft member for 3 years under Mr. Cooley, and he did so much for us, and he was such a great advisor, and a lot of the connections I have with my professors at college, being able to speak with them and talk with them, a lot of that came from building those bonds back at the high school, and having those ties are just so important to me. And I think when I'm going out looking at internships, looking for jobs, a lot of the skills I have being able to talk to adults came from just the help of the professors here, and it was so much more than the classes. It was just the teachers we had, and Ms. Adamo and Mr. Cooley were just such a big part of my life through high school, and to see them, that they're not going to be here anymore, it's like losing like a part of who you were when you were growing up, and being out in like the real world, so to speak, it's harder than being in high school. I mean, it was safe here, and a lot of those teachers are a reason why I have a lot of strength being out at college and looking for jobs and talking to other teachers. And same thing as all these students are standing here behind me saying, I mean, they're younger than me, but they're supporting the same cause, and it's all because as we get older, we really come back here and we remember everything that you've all done for us here and how much it's meant to us. And my high school experience, especially going to college, I'm seeing what the students there are talking about, my high school experiences they have, and so few students have had such a wonderful experience like I had. I had great friends here, great teachers, and getting to talk with them, a lot of them are envious of like the high school experience I had because they didn't find that till college, and losing those teachers, just another way of losing that connection. So I understand budget cuts, of course I understand, and I know you're doing your best, and I know you're working hard, and we commend you on what you do as well. But I would really like to ask you to reconsider those teachers. I mean, even as a graduate, I remember them. I remember everything they did. It really stays with you for years. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela Rubino. I just finished my junior year. At the end of this year, I was elected the president of the fashion club for next year. With the cuts that were made, we not only lost an advisor, but the only teacher in the entire district that teaches the fashion classes that we offer. I actually just want to know what was intended for next year. You said no programs. Anyone who signed up for art would be taking the classes. Who would be teaching the fashion classes next year?
Mr. Infante would work with the current staff and provide the training necessary so that we could run those courses.
And what about an advisor for our club?
We do the same thing. Find somebody to be an advisor for the club.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Raisa. I graduated last year. In my high school career, I was average in everything. I wasn't the smartest, and I wasn't the greatest artist, but I decided to take an art class, and that's when I discovered myself. I don't know if there was the teachers missing, that if I went to high school and they weren't there, I believe I wouldn't be where I am now. Mr. Musto, Miss Adamo, Mr. Rayleigh, and Cooley, they have helped me so much in everything I've ever done. I was not good. I wasn't good. And I could say that. But they found my talent. They helped me discover who I am. And now I'm good at fighting for art. And some of you might stand here not really caring on your phones because art might not be as important to you as it is to us. But for the people that we do care about art, and for the parents that do believe that we can become artists, that they don't say to your children, art is not a job, art is not something you can do. Art is everything to me. And if it wasn't for art, I don't know where I would be. If Adamo wasn't here, if Musto, if Rayleigh, if Cooley, if Adamo wasn't here, I would probably go into Suffolk. And that's fine, but that would not be the best person I am now. And to think of a kid that comes into high school next year and has that spark in him, but will not have the right teacher to make that spark come out. They're not going to be their best, like I am today. Until today, I remember every single teacher and their personality and the way they teach and the specific things they said to me to make me the person I am. If they weren't here, I don't know what I would do. And I just want to say, for people that will come here in the high school for future years, I want them to have the chance that I had. Because they deserve the chance that I had. Because if it wasn't for the chance that I had, like I said, I wouldn't be the best that I am now. And although, like I said, art might not mean something to you like it does to us, history or science is important to you. That's fine. Art is important to us, and it will always be important to us. And to take it away from us, and to take it away from the teachers that love teaching and making us who we are, making us have a spark that comes out today. If you take that chance away from them, that's taking that chance away from us. So all I can ask, I can't tell you to not to do, but I can ask to try your hardest. because I cannot picture a high school without these teachers, because they were my family. Till today, I love them with all my heart. They're my mentors and they're my heroes. And I just beg you to keep them here so they can give the chance to the future children like they did to me. Thank you.
Can I just say something? I just want you all to know, it's not a value judgment. We here don't value art any less than we value anything else. So I want you to know that, and the explanation as to why, what happened here because of the way they're certified in art and teach kindergarten through 12. I hope you understood that. This was not a singling out of Mrs. Adamo or Mr. Cooley. We know how much you love them. We love them. Mr. Cooley, Mrs. Vasiello said, is a wonderful teacher. He's a wonderful individual. He's a great class advisor. We know what they do for you. We really do. And so this was not any type of a target on them. It really is just how, unfortunately, seniority and certification work in the system, and then how that impacts the teachers that get cut. But we are doing everything we can to hope that we can keep them on in some capacity, if it's at all possible, because we know how much you all love them. They're great teachers. We know that. And we don't value art any less than we value anything else. I promise you.
Hi, my name's Janet, and I graduated last year also, and I go to NYU for BFA, Bachelor in Fine Arts also. And I mean, I started out as just focusing on academics. My parents kept on pushing me to, go do math or history or, science, but I always just had something towards art that I didn't have towards like any of the other academic subjects. And, like in middle school, I took some art classes, but I didn't really take them seriously. And when I got to high school and I met all these teachers and, how this whole art department is a family, they're not just students to them, they are really family. And, we connect with each other in ways that cannot be done in other academic classes. And I just learned through the teachers and the classes to be more, go out of my comfort zone and just speak out and be brave about things. And, if I want something, then I go get it. And through these art classes, I've been in art contests and in so many other, events that I would have never pictured myself being in. And like, this is just like a life-changing experience, like how everyone who else, like, who spoke here said it. And I wouldn't be myself in NYU, in such a prestigious school that I am today. And I'm just, I know you guys are trying your hardest, and you can't do, things because of the budget and the population of the students and everything, but just, this is so life-changing for us, and I just hope that, it stays how it is.
Hi, I'm a current student at Carnegie Mellon University. I graduated last year. I'm an art student, and I really can't see the school getting any better without these teachers here. They all offer everything to the table. I was an average student. I had 83 average until senior year. My counselor told me I couldn't get into any school I wanted to get into. I got into each school right away, except for Yale. That's the only school I didn't get into.
They're lost.
Yeah, they're lost, right? Anyway, these teachers inspired me to do better, do the best I can. My counselor told me, hey, these SUNY schools are really great, you should look at them. They told me, hey, look at all these other schools, they can offer so much more to you. You can use them to your advantage. That's what you want to do, right? Yeah. I'm not the best public speaker, sorry. And you can't really expect to teach an art teacher fashion in a month, really. If you know the way to dress, it's not that great. It's I'm at a loss for words. I really don't know what to say. I knew what to say before, but it's really so much for me, and I've done a lot outside of school, more in school. This is where my creativity was fostered. This is where I grew up. I couldn't see myself anywhere I am today without these teachers. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
My name is Alyssa Levy. I'm finishing my junior year here, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Cooley's sports, what he does for the school year. I'm speaking on behalf of the varsity softball and varsity bowling team. For those of you who don't know, he started the girls' bowling team 5 years ago. There was only boys, and I've been on the varsity team since freshman year, and this past counties we finished in second place by 60 pins from only 5 years of him being a coach. And although no softball girls are here, I can speak on behalf of them. None of them would be at the expectation that the school would want them to be without him being the coach. And I understand there's been past coaches that have taught them as much as Cooley has, but his attitude and his love for the sports, bowling and both softball, has got them in the playoffs multiple times. And I know a lot of people who will not try out for bowling and softball unless he is the coach. And that's a terrible thing because we only have 12 girls on bowling, and out of the 12, 3 are graduating, and I can name at least 6 that will not try out unless he's there. And I understand that maybe there's nothing you can do, but as well as being a great art teacher, along with Miss Adamo, he is an amazing person. And for you who don't know me, I'm a junior here who I'm also a team mom. And Mr. Cooley has helped me come to school every day and be the best that I could be, even though I'm not an art student. I'm more into the sports, but he pushes me and he makes sure that I'm here every day, and he checks up on me and makes sure that I'm okay through the bullying and everything. And just Commack wouldn't be the same with the loss of both of them. Thanks.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Rachel Knapp. I'm just confused a little bit on a few points. The first thing that I'm confused about is when I was looking over the budget that was proposed and that our parents voted for. In the budget, you promised that the art program wouldn't suffer and the restrictions and the cuts would be minimal. And to me, laying off 2 people, that's suffering for the arts department, no matter which way you put it. The second thing that I'm a little shaky about is that you say that the arts matter just as much to you as they do to us, and you understand how important art is in the real world and for us to build our character and all of that, but I'm just confused why the art department is suffering cuts that aren't parallel to any other department's cuts. I don't see the same cuts going on in the history department, the science department, anything like that. And that's why I'm a little confused, so if you could help me out with that. And the third thing, okay, so you put up all the figures and the numbers about the population in our schools and about who's coming up and how many people will be filling the classrooms, but that doesn't really mean anything unless you tell us about the demand for the electives. So the numbers could change as a total, but if the demand for the art program stays the same, then we should have the same amount of art teachers to fill these classes. To me, when I walk into a drawing class, a painting class, a digital photography, ceramics, no matter what it is, all those classes are filled. All those classes have to turn away kids because they are filled to capacity. If we're losing 2 teachers next year, kids won't have an art class, and that's it. Also, the third thing probably like the 5th or 4th point, I don't even know, is that these teachers are irreplaceable, and I know everyone spoke about how they have these connections with these teachers, and I think that's obvious because no other department could pull this many kids to come here and speak on their behalf. There's a reason that we're here, no matter who's speaking. The numbers show for themselves, and it is that important to us. Thank you.
questions, and it is not an answer that you'll like. Art is, for the art teachers, they're certified kindergarten through 12th grade. So when they're hired to work in kindergarten through 12th grade. So when the population in the lower grades drops, as you saw from the slides, we have about 400 children coming in each year and about 600 students graduating. So we are losing about 200 students a year as they graduate. People are having fewer children, there's less turnover in the housing market, there are different reasons for that decline. So as that population in the elementary schools gets smaller, we have less of a need for art teachers there. But because they're certified K-12, and it's based on seniority, what that means is the last person hired by state law is the first person that would have to be laid off because there's fewer students. So even though that last person hired may be a person in a high school, that means that another art teacher somewhere else in the district is going to have to move into the high school to teach those courses. I know that's not a great answer, and it's not an answer that you like. It's not an answer that we like necessarily, because we value all of our art teachers, and we certainly value the expertise that they bring. I've seen many of you in my office. I think you recognize the value that I and the Board of Education have for art, and the fact that it keeps coming up, and it's something that we truly want to maintain. But the art staff in the high school next year doesn't necessarily shrink if there are students enrolled. But the people, the teachers themselves, might be different teachers. And I know that's hard. I know these people, they're terrific. The last thing we want to do is to lose them. Absolutely last thing. And we are doing everything we can to see if there are places where we can hire them back. If that's possible, we absolutely will bring them back anywhere that we can. If they still want to coach, they can still coach. And I understand that might be difficult if they find a job someplace else. We understand that they're going to have to make arrangements, and those arrangements are brutal. I don't want for a second for you to think that we underestimate what this means, not only to you, but to them. It is heartfelt for us. We lose sleep over this. This is not something that anybody takes lightly, and it is driven by the decline in the number of students in the school district. And so, although you might have the same number of teachers, they just, unfortunately, in some cases, won't be the same ones. And that is hard. It is absolutely brutal. We recognize and we see you here. I've seen probably half of you in my office. For good things, for those of you in the audience, for good things. These are great kids, and we absolutely value what you're saying to us. So thank you.
I'm Patrick Sancho. I'm finishing my junior year. I have a question for you guys. You continue to say how you've lost sleep over the art department getting cut and that along those lines. But what have you done to fight for it? For these teachers to keep their jobs and for the department to stop being cut?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What have you done to fight for the art department?
What have I done to fight for the art department? Well, first and foremost, we go out with a budget that we believe is a budget that the community will pass, but the bottom line when it comes to the art, as I mentioned before, is if we don't have students to be in the classrooms, then we can't. I mean, there's not much to do to fight for that. If students enroll in those courses, and we have teachers that are undergoing the training, we will absolutely run the courses. It isn't, this particular issue isn't a money issue. It is an enrollment issue. So if students enroll in those courses, and Mr. Infante and I have spoken about this any number of times, it's not just art, but it's music, it's phys ed. If they enroll, we will do everything we can, not because of finance, but because of what expertise those teachers bring to staff those courses. That's our commitment. It goes beyond the fight, it's a commitment. But it's a great question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I wasn't really planning on speaking, but I just wanted to say something. I just can't help but feel like you guys don't really value art as much as we do, and I want you to. I don't want you to be fighting because we value it. Like for our sake, I want you guys to know how important art is in not only school and the community, but just in the real life, real world. Everything that you see, everything around you is art and design. And can you imagine what the world would be like without art and design? You can't, because it wouldn't be. And for anyone that's been on their phones this whole night or
anything. That's cool. It's whatever. Because the design is so good that you just can't get off of it. So think of the design that's been put into it. Like products, they don't have. Okay, I know there's like so much art and science, and computer science being put into it, but if the product isn't designed well and it's not looking appealing, how many people are gonna want to buy it? What makes it successful? Think about your iPhone. It's slick and classy. Steve Jobs, you might know him, the founder of Apple. He didn't study math and science in college. He studied typography, studying fonts. And after he dropped out, he studied Buddhism, just religion. These things seem so frivolous, but they really contributed to just his creating of Apple, and it's revolutionary, and it's a huge part of history. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
And as for Clay, I just wanted to acknowledge one point you made about seniority. I know it's the longer the teacher's been here, the more right they have to the school. However, the younger teachers have so much to contribute. And the reason why the younger teachers are so important, even though they're newer, they have a newer take on things. They graduated later than the other teachers or something along those lines. And there's something that when ninth graders come to school, if everyone in there is much older, they might not feel the connection they have with the younger teacher who's still somewhat closer in age. And I mean, even the teachers who aren't being laid off next year, I mean, Mr. Rayleigh was my IB art teacher. I mean, it's family because no matter how long they've been there, it's each individual role they play. I have a connection with every single one of those teachers. And as far as seniority goes, like that's what makes it hard. Just because the teacher's been there longer doesn't say their value as a teacher. And like I know my friends who are studying education, I know how much passion they have for it. And I know if they got hired in a few years and got cut right away, they wouldn't really have that opportunity that the older teachers have had to give to the students. And like I don't know if we graduated like a few years ago or something, like we had that new passion for it that was given to us by their teachers, and those teachers just are just as important as the older teachers, in my opinion. And I know you're saying that there's less people enrolling in the school, but just because there's less people enrolling, I know that they have to take history and they have to take science, and they have to take math. These are all required courses. I know the arts and gym and music aren't required, but because they're not required and these kids are choosing to take it, that's where the passion's so much, it's just there, you know? Like I had to take science, I had to take math, and I'm glad I had to take them. I really liked them too, but I chose to take art, and if I took music, I chose to take music, and those kids chose to do them because there was something there for them there, and you know, if they were struggling academically or that success and the success those teachers brought them made them feel like they could do something, and that didn't just come from the classes themselves, it came from the teachers that taught those classes who believed in them, and that's why those teachers are so important to us, regardless of seniority.
Thank you very, very much. We do appreciate all of your ideas, and certainly you've recognized the value of our younger teachers and as well the mastery of our veteran teachers, and we're fortunate in Commack to have that in every department. So yes, both are very, very good at what they do and care about you ladies and gentlemen, and we'll do the best we can. That's all we can say. There's facts that we have to deal with, there's systems that we have no choice about, but we know what we want. Thank you. Save art. Yes. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Because I think there's a few other questions.
I'd like to say,
Yeah.
I graduated last year with these three as well, and I don't want to say anything very specific about the two teachers because you've already heard enough about how great they are and how much they've done, but I think high school is a place where it's helping everyone sort of put themselves into society and help them learn about what they need to run society. And when I started high school, I wasn't very interested in any of the subjects, and my home life was very difficult, so I wasn't getting much of a push in the home life as well But I wasn't getting much of a push from home life, for example, because they were too busy just trying to pay for my schooling and pay for the taxes and everything like that. And these are the things that push me to not just those specific teachers, but just all the teachers, because they're all different as well. They're not just art teachers. Each teacher has something specific that added to the art community. And over time, I hope it doesn't happen, but maybe more art teachers will be taken away. Like, for example, with Miss Adamo for the fashion design, if you take away her, I mean, it's just self-explanatory what's going to happen, because, I mean, I'm not sure if Mr. Aponte knows much about fashion. I'm not sure if he'll be able to teach all the other teachers about it. But they all have specific skills that all come together and help with the art department. And art and music, everything in that was basically what drove me to keep going and keep working hard, because I wasn't that interested in anything else, and I was very put down at home as well. So these are things I take with me after graduation. All these things that the art teachers taught me, and all these things that I learned in art and music as well. It's what drives me to wake up and go to work, and most of the quotes in my head are probably from Miss Dow or Miss Adamo or Mr. Musto. So I just want to let you keep that in mind as